Welcome to Insight. Eunice, if I ask you, what are those factors that should strengthen Nigeria's unity? What will you say?
I would think doing away with tribalism is one. You know, an entity that is divided in itself cannot, thrive as one. You know that instance of bringing a broom together as a bunch, you can barely break it, but if it's a stick, you can just break it easily. So the moment we identify ourselves as one, first of all, that mindset, that's it.
Okay, the journey that the country called Nigeria all started with the amalgamation in 1914, and since then and now, we have sustained one message that we should think about what binds us and not what divides us. Our focus on discussion segment on Insight today will be on what are those factors that will strengthen our unity and not divide us. And on media review segment?
On media review segment, our focus would be something I think you should stay tuned to catch up on, basically. But the guest is Joe Ita. He is head corporate communications, Nigeria Export Promotion Council, and he also is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. So he's diverse in terms of knowledge, but then you should just watch out for what we'll be talking about.
As we move on to the segment, discussion segment on Insight. Stay with us. When shall Nigeria hold on to its diversity, where you say the chain is as strong as the weakest point? Nigerians should celebrate what binds it, or what binds us as a people, and not what divides us. That was one strong message he said. And the other aspect to it is that on this segment, we shall be looking at threat to national unity, the way out. As individuals in our homes or offices, we differ in ideas, we differ in opinions, but the end result is the consensus. Where are we heading to? A family tie is like a tree. It can bend, but it can't break. That will be the focus on this segment of the program. And my guests, I have a lawyer and dispute resolution specialist, Johannes Wojuola. Thanks for joining me on Insight.
A pleasure.
Ambassador Young Piero Omatseye, founder, Jet Age Nation Builder, and the first young senatorial aspirant in Nigeria. Thanks for joining me on Insight. I just hope that record is straight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Let me take off with you, Johannes. A lot of vibes, positive, negative ones are all over the place. And when you look at it, it's like something will happen the next day regarding Nigeria's unity. Should that be the way out?
Absolutely not. We need to look at every society, just like Nigeria, and understand that there is no place in the world where there is no conflict. As far as humanity is concerned, there's always been conflict. And conflict is because we are different as people. We have different names, we have different cultures, we have different backgrounds, we have different orientations, we have different circumstances of our growth. So the way we see things will always be different. The way we approach problems will always be different. But the conversation has not ended as conflict. That's why there has been the need to resolve our conflicts. That is why there has been the need to gather people together to come and build solutions. And like you quoted Ambassador Stuart, it is how you make do of these differences that matter. How you look at it, what is your perception about your differences? You see in a room, for instance, maybe in a Harvard school, for instance, in college in Harvard, or maybe some university in Texas, there's emphasis on we need students who come from Africa, we need students from Asia, we need students from Mexican background, we need students from the Middle East, we need students from America, Irish students. Why? They want to have a better perspective to the solutions they present on ground. That is harnessing the diversity of a people. Let us also look at the areas we have won as a country. And I will look at it from two different sides. Football, or where areas we have played down our differences and focused on those areas that bring us together. In the game of football, we come there, we don't care whether it is Nnamdi, whether it is Kayode, or whether it is Musa that's playing. All we want is a goal. All we want is to see that we win. And the euphoria when we win, when we are watching the game, I will jump on the person who is next to me without caring whether he's a Muslim or whether he's a Christian, whether he's of my tribe or whether he's not of my tribe. Because there's a common goal. And we have both put all our resources, whether or not, and play down our differences to ensure we get the goal. On the negative side, corruption. When we hear of people who benefit from loot, the names do not follow one order.
Okay, I'll come to that aspect, corruption. Let me go to Omatseye. Let's see his own opening thoughts.
All right. First of all, as a country, we need to know what is our shared values. What are our values? You see, before there was Nigeria, I'll tell you, we don't have this conflict before what was Nigeria, when we were under the British. And now the British now saw, okay, with the agitation they saw, reasons for Nigeria to come together to be one. And now you have people coming together to form one nation.
They're talking about the amalgamation.
Yeah, the amalgamation. Mm-hmm. And when you come together and form a nation, it shows that you are going to be stronger together. That is one thing we must know, being stronger together. You know, when politics start playing in our affairs, we tend to have problems. And how are we going to solve these problems? It's for us to go back to the basics, to know our shared values. Imagine if the British has not brought us under one umbrella, Nigeria. You'll be having, everybody's living, all tribes have their nation. You have the nation of Ishekiri, you have the nation, remember, you just imagine it, Federal Republic of Hausa, Federal Republic, you understand? So these things are to bring us together, and now we are together is a value that we must cherish. And you know, when you come together, you tend to, you know, even the Bible says one can chase 1,000, but 10 can chase 10,000. While we go further, we're going to talk on issues like that will make us one nation. Okay, now we are one nation. How can we drive our nation? You cannot have a developed nation anywhere in the world when there are chaos, when you always bring out issues that don't even matter. I'm from the street. I'm a local boy. So if I am talking, I'm talking from the street. I don't need any textbook. I don't need to read anything before I know what will solve the problem of Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria is the people that are oriented, trying to brainwash these people that are not oriented. Instead of coming to tell them the real thing, they had to socialize them to believe what is not true. And you see the street boys coming out, believing what is not true as if it is true, because they don't have time to research. So one thing we must do as young people, as Nigerian youth, is to come together, the elites, the people that can think, the people that have this orientation, coming together. Let's involve programs. Let's go down to the street. Let's go down to the villages, to the communities, letting them know the only way out. Let them see the truth. We are one nation. You can't divide us. And if anybody tells you they will divide this country, it's a lie. You can't divide Nigeria. Let's stop bringing religion to these old issues. If this country is established by God, because when you read our national item, you read our pledges. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity, and uphold the honor and glory. So help me God. It shows that our founding fathers believe in God. And if God must be the head of this nation, we must look up to God for everything we do. The conflict did not come. Let's not go to church and be praying for peace. It is not God that brought conflict to Nigeria. We brought conflict upon ourselves. So it is our time we need to talk solutions than rising up the problems. We always talk about the problems. That are the problems. Instead of eating out solutions, what can we do to get out of this place? Once you start asking ourselves this question, I don't see problem in Nigeria.
Okay, let me hold it there. What can we do? But I think before I came to you, Wojuola came up with a point. He talked about corruption.
Yes.
What can we do is the point now. We'll get there. Can you sustain that?
Now, when you look at the names of people who are maybe caught up or alleged to have stolen money, the names do not follow one particular line, like I said. Different cultural groups, different religions. It has never been one religion. It has never been one tribe. It is, in fact, it cuts across all the ethnic groups, the major ethnic groups of the country, all beneficiaries. So it shows that people can come together despite their differences. It shows that if people mean to capture an objective, if people have a goal they set for themselves, irrespective of their differences, they will tolerate each other and they will make sure they win on what they want. That is the culture that we should be looking towards. That is the mentality that we should be looking towards. We should be able to play down on these differences. Look at them as tools to harness, to be able to get, further the common objectives we have set for ourselves. If we look at the entity of Nigeria, made up of so many ethnic groups, largely three major tribes or three major ethnic groups or three major tribes, and different, right now we have 36 states, we would find out that each state of Nigeria has something unique it has to offer. From Bauchi State to Kano State to Lagos State to Ondo to Delta to Edo to Anambra to Akwa Ibom to Sokoto, there is something somewhere that is beautiful, that can be harnessed and can economically be viable for the state. But then, if a state, for instance, take for instance Sokoto State, which is a border state to Niger Republic, says, okay, I want to leave the entity called Nigeria. It will be able to sustain itself, quite all right. But does it become better than the whole? Absolutely not. Nigeria as a whole country, made up of these diverse groups, these diverse identities, these diverse natural resources, from Anambra up to the north, to our river Benue and the river Niger, and the farmlands of northern Nigeria. Everything makes us a stronger country together. And it is in tapping all these diverse resources that Nigeria can stand to any other country in the world, economically and by our demography.
Okay, fine. Now, I can't place the numbers clearly, but I know by the last count, I had a chat with the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, and he said, by population, India is well above 1 billion in population. And we are just touting around 150, 180, 170 as at the last national population census. And the problem basically is, as diverse as we may be, the same India is grappling with over 2,000 ethnic nationalities.
Yes.
We are just talking about 350 or thereabout. Languages is in thousands, and we are just talking about barely how many in the country. Now, why is it that if Wojuola commits and Omatseye is asked to prosecute Wojuola, Wojuola trumps up the ethnic card, religious card, and we start arguing from there? We start throwing tantrums. Taking from your last argument, what should we do as a people?
Going further, it is, when I'm happy dealing with issues.
And
like
the good
this.
thing, I'm happy within the space we are now. I have young upcoming Nigerians like you talking about this, because they say you are the leaders of tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, indeed.
We're the leaders of today. The leaders of today, not tomorrow anymore.
Okay.
See, you see the problem is that I talk solutions, I don't talk problems. Like I said before, going further, the problem of Nigeria, we have too many people who analyze it. We don't need to analyze the problems anymore. We need to come to the table with solutions. And when we start bringing solutions to the table, then we are building our nation. I keep telling people, I tell my white friends, I said, see, Nigeria is not a third world country. We only have some set of people who live with third world minds. And you cannot, in this jet age, you cannot advance our nation when we have third world people in numbers. So how can we reduce these numbers? This is one thing we should be talking about, orientation programs. And that's number one. Number two, for us to move this country, this nation forward, we must talk about personal commitment, sacrifice. We must be ready to take responsibility. Not when I tell people there is no justice anywhere in the world. When it favors you today, you say it's justice. When it did not favor you tomorrow, you come it's injustice. This is the problem. One trying to play one a fool.
But is there really injustice anywhere?
No, no, injustice everywhere in the world. There is no justice anywhere. So in other words, we should, when it favors you and it's not favoring me, you should think, what about if you're in my shoes? Don't say because it's good for you now, it's good everywhere. You need to consider me. Hear me out. When your baby is crying, you just spark the baby. You need to know why it's crying. These are the problems we have in Nigeria. So now, going further, we need to obey our laws in this country. Robust enforcement of laws. Not when it happens, when it's hurts you, you now think about, what about if it is not me? Or is my friend? No. When it has to do with the laws and order of this nation, we need to uphold it. Not going to the National Assembly, arguing over issues, sponsoring bees, and out there, your brother, your sister are the one breaking the laws, and you can't bring them to book. As I was driving here, as we're coming here to studio now, what really happened was that my driver was using one way. And I didn't even know that it's one way. I saw the traffic warden say, no, it's one way. The driver wanted to maneuver. I said, go back and turn. Even if I late come here, I want to be late. You understand? These are things we're supposed to know. Not trying to bribe the worthy man, giving him 100 bucks or whatever. No. Our laws must be respected. If we respect our laws, nobody will come up with agitation that are not right.
Okay, that's a good point. Respect our laws. If the laws are there and the institutions that are supposed to drive or implement these laws are not firm or strong enough, will it work?
It wouldn't. I think we have a situation where people want to exploit our fault lines, and that is why the laws are weakened. That's why institutions are weakened. We have a system where even when you approach people who are law enforcement officers and you see a man who is of your tribe and he has caught you, the first thing you do is you look at him. He has a tribal mark, and then you speak your language to him. And you either Egbonye, Ejo, or you Babana Kayakuri. You understand? So there's a deliberate effort by Nigerians to exploit these fault lines. It just reflects that we have an institutional problem, like he has said, enforcement of laws. And largely, it comes from injustice.
That's the point I said.
Yes.
He has talked about the fact that the laws are there, the laws should be driven to the letter. But the problem lies, which you have agreed, is if the institutions, for instance, are not firm and strong enough. I remember in our last discourse, you talked about the
stronger institutions.
Institutions should not wait until Mr. President says, do this, do this. Institutions to know that, okay, maybe the Senate President or a governor has committed, the laws should take
have that
not until Mr. President says, do this.
Laws should be automatic.
Okay, okay.
They should not wait to be enforced or should be called to be enforced before. That is the courts. It's the courts that you go and approach and say, I want you to enforce this. But the law enforcement agents, you go to for instance, you go, if you are smuggling goods into Nigeria, you shouldn't wait for the president to say, the customs CG, there's somebody smuggling. It is expected that the institution is built, the framework of the institution is built to curb those kind of illegalities. If, for instance, there's a traffic offense, the institutions of the traffic wardens and the police are built enough to curb those offenses. But people are exploiting those little loopholes of our individualness, of even our economic situations, because an officer who is well paid will not be accepting a paltry sum as bribe. He will tell you, no, I will not take it. And that is obtainable everywhere in first world countries. you can't come and give an officer who is paid enough, more than even you, a bribe. He will tell you, I won't take it. It's not up to what I need. So he will indeed enforce the law. So when we talk about building stronger institutions to enforce justice, because the end product of the entire law enforcement is to ensure that justice is done and manifestly seen to be done. Is to see that when a man has wronged, he is brought to book. Because if, for instance, a Musa commits an offense and he is let to go scot-free, and Nnamdi commits the same offense and he is not allowed to go scot-free, you have already established an institution of injustice, and it is already reading by perception that one person is greater than the other. And the reaction, the natural reaction of any person is to fight against the institutions, is to resist the institution of the state. And that is what is playing out in most districts. We have had an inherent system of injustice from decades ago. We've had the people have not been given their due. And when I mean their due, you're talking about both the right and the wrong. A man has been wronged, let him go to jail. We have a system where some certain former governors have injunctions against being prosecuted. Meanwhile, a man on the street who is a victim of the system, the structure of the system, the poverty of the system, steals, is taken to court, spends almost 2 years as a pre-waiting trial detainee, beyond the time he would ordinarily have even been convicted. That system alone breeds injustice. Okay. It breeds unfairness, and at the end of the day, you have a resistance of the Nigerian state.
This whole thing is tied around justice, injustice. We have talked about towards a transparent criminal justice system in Nigeria sometime. And when you talk about the people and those who govern, it's a social contract, right?
Absolutely.
Now, back to Omatseye. We have talked about system now. As a people, what should we be doing, maybe, to guide the correction of the system?
It is simple.
Because, like we said, recently, people across the geopolitical zones have gone through a lot in terms of killings, insecurity, in terms of maybe agitations by the people, all that. So as a people, given the situation now, because our focus is sustaining national unity despite our diversity, what should people be doing as Nigerians?
Yeah, whatever I keep saying, whatever I'm saying is not from textbook, because I belong to the system. I grew up in this system. You see, Nigeria today, the diversity we talk about, there is no one ethnic nationality that enjoys it. We all have a common enemy, and the common enemy is marginalization. The common enemy is underdevelopment. The common enemy is that my rights are not upheld, which is I am not free where I'm supposed to be free. Yes, if we agree now that we have a common enemy, it's time to talk about solutions. It's time to bring solutions to the table. And see, I tell people, the world I'm working to build is a world that should be of interest to every one of us. And if we must build that kind of world, it begins with me and you. And how is it going to begin with me? If you wake up in the morning, your kids take care of your surrounding. I wake up in the morning, I and my kids take care of my surrounding. I believe the whole world will be very clean. So it has to do with you and I. Not waiting for the policeman. When I talk about robust enforcement of laws, the government have their roles to play. The role of the government is to ensure that there are policies to drive these institutions. And when the institution fails, don't fail to change anybody that is willing to be changed. When you see that this guy is corrupting, change that person. So when you keep changing them that way, you see anybody that is coming will be mastering his track to make sure I don't fall off the line. Then as citizens, we all have our roles to play. And our roles that we must play are roles that we point towards advancement of our nation. And if we must advance, we wake up in the morning and pray for progress. If you pray for progress in the morning How are you going to do about it? Remember the book of Proverbs 10 verse 4 said, he that dealeth with the slack and maketh poor, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. So if we must build this country, we must be diligent in what we are doing. You are not going to be talking wrong about the country and you want the country to be developed to favor you. You are not you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't pick national development, you will not see national development. If you don't want this, if you want to divide this country, you will keep living in a divide. You will not enjoy what the country will enjoy. So let's come on to think about one, because our founding fathers have this concept in mind. That was why we are all brought together in the amalgamation. And why they brought us together is for united front, share value, purpose, visions. So we need visionary leaders. Number one, we need visionary citizens. Citizens that will wake up in the morning and what they think about, they think Nigeria. When they sleep Nigeria. So when they come to a gathering where people in the beer parlor, for instance, when they're talking about bad governance, we just stand up and say, no, you be the change you want to see. If you want this country to develop, fine, look at the mirror. Tell the person in the mirror to make the change. If you're waiting for one man who is the president, you are waiting for one man who is the governor to make this change, you won't see it. If the people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, first you must humble themselves. And you see Christians go to church every Sunday, they pray. You see the Muslims go to mosques every Friday, they pray. You see the oppressed and the oppressors, everybody gathered. So what is the problem now? If it is going to your fellowship, you can unite and call one God and everybody pray. But when you come out, you do the opposite things. This will not work. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. Nobody play God. And when you see problem in the land, know that men are responsible for the problems. And if men want to advance, if men want to grow, they must solve those problems without bringing problems. We must be more of problem solvers than problem makers, problem creators. And see, if we cannot solve this problem, let's stop magnifying it. Let's not try to paint it. If you know you cannot handle this problem, quit. Leave the problem for who can handle it. It is time in our nation where we fit square peg in square holes, round peg in round holes. Okay. And until we start doing that in our institutions, we will go nowhere. Don't say because this is my brother, I am bringing him to head this position, when the man doesn't even know what is happening there.
Okay. Now, just lately we hear the infiltration of Nigeria by foreigners. Foreigners who are more or less assassins, who are more or less militants, who are more or less insurgents. And the question you ask, who is responsible for the in and out of such persons? Is it the people? Is it the institution? We have immigration, we have customs, we have police, we have the armed forces. Between the people and the institution that are supposed to checkmate this, what role should they have played for this not to happen?
Well, it's a very complex situation. Very complex because
judging from the fact you talked about.
Yes. We have an under-policed system where I think Nigeria has over 1,000 illegal entry points into the country. And the Nigerian immigration and customs cannot by their capacity handle all of that. So it brings a very, very big challenge. You equally have a people who have in the past, and when you talk about people who live in neighboring communities with other countries, they have shared values. They have shared cultures and persons. You go to the border between Niger and Sokoto states. They are almost speaking the same language. A friend of mine was telling me that sometimes if you want to make an announcement in Sokoto state, you go to the radio station in Niger and make the announcement there. It gets to people in Sokoto state. So those are already extra geographical challenges that we are facing. And it still calls back to the same question of stronger institutions, more funding for institutions that are with this challenge of maintaining our border lines and all of that. We also have we need to also create a culture of accountability at the state levels. The states have enormous powers. You see, the local government is the first point of contact that a foreigner, a mercenary, a militia would meet. That's why you know, the APC manifesto and talking about community policing was at the fore of the campaign, and I hope that it is brought to you know, to reality, because community policing ensures that the local people who know who is who know that this man who just came in right now is not a member of this community. We have seen him do some very shady things, and we believe that something has to be done. Can report to the local authorities. But you're bringing a man who is who has been posted newly to a community. He has no real what do you call it again, understanding of the terrain, and before he gets to acquaint himself with the terrain, you know, things have happened. And that is what we are seeing in most of these flashpoints we're having. We're having also a system where the states have downplayed their role. There's a call on the federal. The states have a role beyond even security, in mediation, in calling the warring parties together, in bringing people who are of strong differences and sitting them together and say, what is the issue here? What are your interests here? How can you give way for this person? How can you accommodate this person? This person has wronged you. Okay, apologize to him. Because at the end of the day, you see, there's a quote that talks about war. War is simply two people's egos clashing together. Because two generals are angry with themselves, they carry their entire army to fight people. So when you are able to massage the egos of warring parties and call them together and say, let's solve this crisis together, that goes a long way. And that has to start from the local level.
We have spoken to a couple of issues, but most times they will say, it is said that when a system goes wrong, the leadership is fingered. When it goes right, the leadership is fingered. And when the leadership is fingered, when it is good, they turn back to the followers and say, thank you very much. When the leadership is fingered, when it goes bad, they turn back and say, what should we do? So now, where lies leadership in all this? Okay,
I'll tell you. When you watch the borehole system, the water comes from the ground and goes to the tank, whatever is being placed. And when you want to get a clean water, it comes from the tap to the water. So in other words, the citizens mix the leadership. The people behind down there, like you said, the local system, they made the leadership. So if, like I tell people, when you go to a community, just call 5 persons together, give them 20,000 to share for the community. Before it gets to the communities, remain 5,000. Yet these same people will blame leadership. The thing is, it has to do with it's an individual stuff. Let's not say tribal, whatever. I don't want to hear that. All these are just politics. The thing is, you and I, that we have the greatest role to play. If it goes down, because if the electorate come together and know that we're putting this person to represent us. So if they are living right, the persons are free to come back to them and say, this is how it is. And if the person is not living right, they have the right to call the person to order. But in a situation where that same person mistakenly bring one constituency project to you, and at the end of the day, you mishandle that project, the next time he mishandles his own, you don't have right to go and talk to him. So these things are to do with, it's a trickle-down economic thing. It's a trickle-down thing. We have one simple enemy. And the enemy is that we don't even trust ourselves. First, we should not think how to take responsibility. Go back to the pledge, the Nigerian pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country. If all of us really understand that stuff and abide in it and obeyed it and start to do those things, I tell you, there is no problem in this nation. There is no leadership issues. There is no followers issues. And I come to tell you, the agitation we are having now is an agitation of insecurity. I want to go. I want to break up. I want to break up. The one that is coming next is greater than what we are having now. So we should see tomorrow. A great man said, if I'm able to see further, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of fathers. So we must stand on the shoulders of fathers now to see tomorrow. The tomorrow we are supposed to see is a tomorrow where the youth.
What if the fathers refuse to keep their shoulders for you to stand?
Yes, that is the problem we'll see. Because if the father did not put down their shoulders for you, for the young ones to stand to see tomorrow, if they cannot see, they will fight to see. I'll just give you a common illustration here. A family was going in the seashore, and they have a small baby, wife and husband. And the baby, they were so excited when they see flying birds. Ah, look at that, come on. They were excited, and this small boy want to see. And the boy tapped the mama. Mama, I want to look. Mama says, keep quiet. You are not supposed to look here. Daddy, I want to see. Hey, come on, don't spoil our funds. This baby persists. This baby persists. And lucky enough for them to have their peace, just as the youth are crying for it now. They carry the baby on their shoulder. And the baby was like, oh, daddy see. Was so excited. Daddy see. Daddy say what? Mommy see. Mommy say what? They couldn't see anything. So that idea just said what the father sees while sitting down, the young boy will not see it while standing up. No, these are ideologies of the past. Where we are now is a present where when a people are grown enough to govern themselves, they will not want you to govern them, even if they are making mistake. That's why Kwame Nkrumah was misinterpreted when he said he preferred self-governance than servitude in tranquility. And they misunderstood that. When you are grown up, you want to make your own decision. So in Nigeria today, we should give responsibility to those people that want to accept responsibility. We should give responsibility to those people that on their own. Go down there, you see them locally. I don't, this institutional thing and said increase the salary of policemen to do these things. If policemen think Nigeria, they will not collect stipends for anybody. Forget the pay. If the army officers who is not corrupt, collecting money on the highway, they are supposed to be in the barrack, but because of the insurgency, it's politicized. Security vote to go to these governors. They encourage it and you put army everywhere in the street. They are not even corrupt. So if you have war now, who will even fight the war? Because your military men are doing policeman job.
Okay. We're coasting home.
Well, I would just want to...
You know, this whole thing, we can't exhaust it in the next 4 hours.
I want to draw from something he said, and it's very key. It was the fact that the people who eventually become our leaders are not taken from some den or some extraneous places. They are taken from our society. They are taken from you and I, from the everyday people we meet. And they are a reflection of the
like
bigger
Omatseye
picture.
says he wants to be a senator.
Exactly.
He's coming from somewhere.
He's come from somewhere.
Okay, go ahead.
These people are a reflection of our entire system. And it's not just a reflection of a tribe. It's a reflection of the person, his character, his orientation. And I there's something I say, and I think is a key statement. There are no bad tribes. There are no bad ethnic groups. There are no bad religions, or we may have bad religious practices. What we have are bad people. And we must be deliberate about calling out bad people as bad people. And not saying it is because he is this person that makes him a bad person. It is because he did something that is bad because he's a bad person. And so generally, we must have an orientation that is deliberate to resist stereotypes. Because these are the factors of hurt and injustice and disaffection. And people operating in silos and people saying my people versus your people. It's when you address people because of who they are or who they have biologically found themselves to be. You say that a man is from a certain region of the country, and you say that, oh, this is how they are. They are bad because they are this. You look at another person, oh, this, and you are not even looking at the mirror.
Yeah.
You're not looking at the fact that even you yourself, these are your characteristics. And so we need to be looking at focusing on improving the individual persons, improving our orientation, improving our tolerance, our respect for differences. Because, like I said at the beginning, in every society, we will always be different. Myself, I am different from Mr. Omatseye. I am different from you.
We looked at it from the perspective of threat to national unity, the way out, and I believe the two of you have tried your very best to churn out what it should be. And I hope and believe that your thoughts have been put out there. we talked about the fact that a family tie is like a tree. It can bend, but it can't break.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Nigeria should celebrate what binds
And not what breaks us.
and not what breaks us. Thank you, gentlemen.
A pleasure.
I've been chatting with Johannes Wojuola, lawyer and dispute resolution specialist. It was nice talking with you on Insight.
My pleasure.
Ambassador Young Piero Omatseye, founder Jet Age Nation Builder. Thanks for being on Insight.
Thank you very much.
Okay, up